It comes of instinct, the same instinct that precipitates our sense of beauty. It sets in motion the power that we have to make poetry and music. Somehow it seems inadequate to ascribe pure utility to such things. It is said, to be sure, that beauty ensures the propagation of the species, if you want to think of it that way. Poetry, for its part, can win the heart of the beloved, the object of one's desire. That has some value. But can anyone satisfactorily say to what end really is poetry invented or music made? Likewise, how may education be given a pragmatic value only? What of its power to help us better to pay attention? Yes, education can make you more marriageable or employable and even useful to society. It can make any of us more wealthy, all of us more healthy, and might even, just might, dismantle racism, or cure cancer, or extend the life of this planet. Inscribed in huge letters across the brick auditorium wall on the side of the elementary school here in Granville, right across the street from my house, is the statement, "Education safeguards the nation." Think about that. How might education stack up against military might or economic power, actually to keep us safe? If it can, if it is applied to more than merely increasing the other two. A lofty claim, no doubt. It has something to do with what your education has taught you to pay attention to. Could not every class you ever took here have been started with the teacher saying, "Now pay attention. And the following is what I would like for you to pay attention to." And that's just in the classroom. What of the other stuff, the rest of your Denison education? So you joined the poker club, or the college Republicans, or the lacrosse team. Good. You had an experience and you learned something. What did you learn? Not just when to call or raise a bet, or when not to tax and spend, and when to eat and what eat before a game. Did you learn to look around and notice what other kinds of people joined you in these activities? Did you learn to ask what place society gives to those who do such things? Did you learn to ask what portion of a budget goes to support your activity as opposed to others? Did you learn to ask how your activity is portrayed in the media, or researched and developed by drug companies, or lobbied in Congress? Did you learn to ask what recreational pleasure or human worth it gives you to engage in such activity? Did you learn to ask how important everything you do is to a displaced person in Pakistan? Did you? When you passed a person on Swayze Walk in the morning on a trek to class, did you ever notice whether that person wanted to raise a family someday? Or would have joined the Navy if his eyesight were better? Did you notice that your professor's father was just told that he has Alzheimer's disease? Did you notice that that usually talkative person in class was quietly relieved that she just got an offer for a job? Probably not. How could you? These aren't things that you can see, at least not if you're not paying attention. Not even Jason Bourne would have noticed such things. Unless, of course, either his life depended on it, or else he just couldn't help himself. He would have noticed, if he cared beyond all limits of excuse and rationalization, that these details were not more important than what his pants looked like on him that day, or what reason he might give for not having done the reading. What priority do we give to the attention we have? to pay. Two men were walking side by side in rush hour traffic on a busy downtown street, horns blaring, trucks rumbling, and car stereos blasting. A native city dweller and a visiting friend from the mountains out in the country who happened to be Cherokee. As they spoke congenially, the rural friend hesitated for a second, paused, and turned to a small tree that grew in one of those square cement boxes that line the sidewalks. You know the ones. As his city companion watched, gently the country dweller bent and offered his finger to a tiny cricket who was excitedly singing his cricket song to the world. Astounded, the first man asked his friend, "How in all this traffic noise did you hear that tiny cricket?" Smiling, the mountain dweller reached into his pocket, pulled out a few coins, and tossed them mildly onto the pavement. Several passers-by turned their heads at the sound as they kept walking. "See," the second friend said, "it all depends on what you're listening for." You have learned so much here, and we have held your attention for long enough. Now it is time for you to turn your attention.